Next up on our budget PC test here at VR Jive, we're looking at Tilt Brush. Our budget PC is made up using a AMD FX 8370 8-core processor and AMD RX-480 graphics card. During all our normal experiences within Tilt Brush, we had no reprojection happening whatsoever. Everything ran smooth as silk. So to stress the card out even more, I downloaded one of the many pieces of artwork available within the library on Tilt Brush, and I'm running it now. You can see here this piece of artwork by Chris P. Everything I downloaded ran smooth as silk. Again, no reprojection whatsoever. As you can see, it's still running fairly smooth here by the graph up the top. We're not getting any red lines appearing, which is what we're looking for, and no dropped frames appearing in the headset. So I thought I'd get a bit creative and see how far I can push this piece of artwork, and you'll see what happens after the car is completed once I start adding smoke and extra effects to the lights, etc. Now, keeping in mind, during all my normal experiences within Tilt Brush, I never had any lost frames, no drop frames, everything ran really smooth, and I played around with it for many hours. My daughters have played around with it as well. I never complained about any performance issues or nausea or anything like that. So for all the standard user stuff, Tilt Brush is going to run smooth as silk on any basic VR graphics card. So the RX-480, the 1060, etc. So anything's going to run smooth as silk. But if you want to take Tilt Brush to the next level and go a bit nuts with some of the graphics. Now we're just starting to see a couple of reprojection scenes there. It's just popped in for a fraction. So I'm going to take this to the next level, and I'm going to add a whole heap of smoke and stuff like that to this. Now in a second you're going to see what happens. He's just finishing off the bumper bars and that on the car. And it again was not enough to stress out the card whatsoever. So I've started adding smoke here, put a ton of smoke underneath the car, filled it all up, put a whole heap of extra lighting effects coming out of the headlights there, and there we have it. We're starting to enter reprojection now. So, and I thought I'd do a big logo for VR Jive at the back and see what it takes. I found that the smoke was what was triggering the effects, and the particles that you draw on the headlights and all was what was really pushing the graphics card. You can hear the fans whirring up in the graphics card at this stage as well. It's getting warm, and as you can see by the graph up above, it is entering reprojection quite a bit. Keeping in mind I'm doing a lot on the screen here, so this the logo at the back is bigger than me. I had to stretch up as high as I could to reach the top there. So it's a huge logo. It's lots of effects, lots of different brushes used in the buildings there with the reflections, etc. And I go a bit crazy, but I had to basically stress out the card at all. So for Google Tilt Brush, you're really not going to have a problem, even on performance settings. I could drop it down to budget PC settings or to low-end PC settings, which is available, but I didn't need to. It was only once I got to like this stage, about halfway through coloring all the blue with the smoke around the VR logo, that I noticed a couple of drop frames when it's entering in and out of reprojection. And when I got up close here like that, as you can see there, it's starting to go nuts. Now the smoke's moving around constantly, so it's a constantly moving graphic effect. It's not just a static thing. You can see it slowly moving there on the video, and that's what it took to basically stress out the card. So there's a lot of effects on the screen. There's a big model that's been drawn there by Chris P. And there's a ton of smoke. I mean, you know, this is more than you'd see in most computer games and that on the one screen. So all that smoke is moving. It's, you know, constantly flowing around. The whole logo's coloured in smoke as well. So there we have it. Unless you go crazy with Tilt Brush, you won't even enter reprojection.